We'll be good.
Intro music. I like this.
Yeah. Take it to you.
What's up, everybody? My name is Ty Impey, and I'm going to be your guest host today. We have a special treat for you. The regular host, Heston Cherry, is sitting in the hot seat.
Hey, this is a hot seat. I'm nervous.
Hey,
I'm never
you'll do
nervous anymore,
great.
but I am.
Hey, you'll do great. So we're going to get into kind of your story and kind of talk about different aspects of what you've learned about addiction and your whole story and all that. Your wife over here is telling me to get close to the microphone.
Hey, when she wants something done, she demands it.
Yo. Okay, so I've got a list of questions here. We're going to get into your story here in just a little bit. We'll just go through as many questions as we can. So if I were to name this show,
Yes.
we would be calling it Who is Heston Cherry? Because you have been doing this show for about a year now, right?
July 18th or June 18th was my first show.
Okay, so yeah, a little over a year.
Yeah.
And you've met lots of good people and whatnot, so now it's your turn.
Been one of my most treasured experiences of my life. It's been cool.
So let's answer that question then. Who is Heston Cherry? Like, what do you do? What roles do you play? Who is Heston Cherry?
Today,
Today.
Heston Cherry is a family man. He's a husband, father. I have many children. I'm in my third marriage. My other two were pretty much a cost of doing business in addiction, but I found the right one. I wasn't going to date forever again. It was just me and my son Caleb for 2 years, and then I met my wife, and you just know when it's right. And I'm not saying life's easy, and we have the perfect marriage mostly because she's mean, but mostly because I don't communicate well.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, but I'm a father. I have my own children, and I raised a bunch of children and helped raise, and I what is the word for it? I own all of them. I have good relationships with most of them, but I feel like they're mine.
Absolutely.
And now I sell real estate here in southern Utah. I started in real estate in '98 due to my addictions. I got out in 2002, got back in 2008 till 2012, or actually 2006 till 10. Then 2013 I got back in, and I'm here to the present. I failed many times. Had to go back through the school, but that was due to my addiction.
There's kind of a lot that goes into becoming a real estate agent and all that, right?
A lot of school, you have to have a good background. You have to have excellent ethics, morals. It's a cool thing to be a part of because you're supposed to be a respected member of the community. You're supposed to add to the world, not take from it. And so,
Right.
but it's something I love, and the reason why I love it is because I get to help people, families, make one of the most important decisions of their lives.
Right. Find somewhere where they're going to raise their families and
Yeah, or
spend a lot
get
of
rid
their
of
time.
one home and into a new one, or buy investment properties, and I have to be able to educate them, neighborhoods, rates, what they should be getting out of a rental if they want to buy one. But it's cool that people trust me, and I've never let that trust go. Even when it's hard to tell the truth, I tell it, and I tell it fast.
Good.
And so I love what I do. I'm not like your $500,000 a year guy, but I do well. and I
Good.
provide for my family.
Nice.
Yeah.
So other than being a family man, being a real estate agent, what else?
I love pickleball. I love
Yeah.
golf. I can be talked into playing softball if I can play in the infield. Otherwise, if they ask me, I'm retired. But I enjoy sports, so I watch sports. We go hiking a lot as a family. Sundays especially, we enjoy our
Oh, yeah.
family hikes. Get out in the beautiful area that we live in. I like to help people, do service. I try to never tell anyone no. So if I can help, I do so.
Good deal. Well, we're going to get into that here in a little bit. Before we start getting into questions, let's hear your story. So go ahead and give us a timeline of, start from as early as you want, where you were born, where you grew up, what life was like, how'd you get into drinking, and how you came out of it.
How'd you know I started drinking?
You're on this show, so
Yeah.
I guess, and I know you pretty well. So.
If you watch it, you know. So I was born and raised in a community in Riverdale, Utah. Lived there until I went all the way through high school there. And what's weird is we'll get into that a little bit, but the geographical area, anyone that was 2 years younger than me and my age and 2 years older, I'll bet you 75-80% of us struggle with addiction.
Really?
Yeah.
And Riverdale's up by Ogden, right?
It's right next to Ogden, yeah. It's
Gotcha.
not even a mile.
Oh.
But so that's where I'm from. Age of 14, my buddies, we stole some cigarettes at the store, went and smoked about 5 packs between 3 of us under a trailer, and was sick as heck. Next thing you know, the next weekend, we talked people into buying us beer, looking like we're 12, and they bought it. You give them money, they'll do it. You figure out the right ones to ask.
Yep.
But started drinking and ended up in. I played a lot of sports and I was very good. But once high school started, everyone grew taller than me. They were bigger than me, faster than me, and so I kind of went where I was accepted. I went with the crowd that was the drinkers and the smokers, and I had the attitude, I'm going to be the best at anything I do, and so I competed. And people that were 300 pounds, I could keep up. I would drink probably 3 or 4 days a week in high school, at school.
Dang.
Yeah. I got out of high school. Somehow I graduated. I think I did 240 hours community service my senior year. Got out of high school, got a job, got a girl pregnant, and at 19 years old, I found out I was going to be a dad. So I started college, lasted about 2 semesters.
Where'd you go to college?
Weber State.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but once you have a baby, I had to go to work, and I had to go to work nights where I could make enough money. I bought a little townhome, 20 years old, doing well, happy with life, but drinking and then testing other drugs. That relationship didn't work, so I ended up getting roommates, and all we did was partied. Come 24, I got married to a gal. She was definitely an alcoholic. We drank every day. That one only lasted like a year and a half. 28, got married, or met my son's mom. We were together about 4 years until we had Caleb, and then we were together about 5 years after, both addicts.
And all this time you're still drinking?
Drinking, but added the Coke, just so you could drink more.
And you're still managing going to work?
Managed, yeah. You know, I would call into work sick sometimes, but I was good at what I did, so they didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But
At what point did it become unmanageable for you?
okay, that's a good question. Age 39, I couldn't get out my front door without taking pain pills. I wouldn't go to work for 3 days if I didn't have my drugs. Even if I did, sometimes I wouldn't go.
Right.
Then you can't pay the bills.
Yep.
Then you're borrowing, you're stealing, you're selling drugs, you're doing all the wrong things. And here I am raising 3 kids in my house, thinking it's normal.
Yep.
Everyone that come around is not quality people at that time. They are quality people, but they're struggling in addiction
Right.
also. They have the potential to be quality people.
Yeah.
But I didn't. But at 39, I found myself going through my second divorce. I was living in a hotel room for about the last 9 days. Had no money, no more pills, no more cigarettes, and I was smoking 3 packs a day.
Dang.
So I was walking around the hotel, and there was a bar next to it, looking on the ground for cigarette butts. And I'd find a little quarter of one who had no idea who smoked it. Just picked
Right.
it up, and I'd smoke what I could and try to find another.
I've been there before.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of us have, but if you think it's kind of low, I mean, you're low
yeah.
at that point. And I woke up and I looked at my son. I had just borrowed another $150 from my uncle. He wouldn't give me the cash, but he paid for 2 more nights hotel room.
Right.
And I just looked at my son, and I was only getting him to school maybe twice a week.
So it's just you and your son at this point.
Just me and my son. Yeah. And I called my parents. I looked at my son. I said, someone's got to give this kid a chance. And I didn't feel at that point his mom could. She was struggling too and didn't really have a house because we lost our house. So 2 of our kids had to go with a grandparent, and then my son I kept, and it was hard, but I thought, I got to give this kid a chance. And so I called my parents in St. George. I said, Dad, I'm ready, and I just broke down. We drove back. They drove 4.5 hours to get me. I was so messed up. I had drank a bottle of cough syrup trying to just get the headache away, trying to sleep, and because I hadn't slept in days, and I still couldn't. So my head's foggy. I'm freaking out psychologically, like insane. We got in the parents' car. We drove back. They had to stop about every 45 minutes, pull over on the side of the freeway as I would puke. And my son, I remember him saying, Dad, why are you puking red? And I was bleeding. I was sick. And my parents, they're so nice. They did anything. They just wanted to know they loved me. And if they would have told me no to something, or I would have backed out. But I took a couple beers with me, and I drank a couple on the way down there as I was puking. I had 2 more when I got to their house. And we got to there. I got a couple hours sleep. I woke up and the beer's sitting right there. I opened them and poured them down the sink.
Good for you.
Yeah, and I've been clean ever since.
Oh yeah.
The first.
And when was that?
That was.
What year was that?
April 11th, 2013.
Okay.
Was my first clean day. April 10th was when we drove down here. It took me about 30, 45 days to sleep more than 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
I was sick. I would go for jogs at 3 a.m. in my parents' neighborhood, which is a nice neighborhood. I think I got pulled over by the cops once, and he's like, "It's 3 a.m." I'm like,
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing out here jogging? Yeah, that's what you're doing. Officer, my dad lives right down here.
Yeah.
Made it home, but yeah, it was a mess.
So then you mentioned that April something was your
11th.
first clean. April 11th was your first clean date.
Yeah.
Was there a relapse in there?
Was not.
Okay.
I tried to quit before, though. I can't say I didn't, but I
Right.
didn't work. a program. It was just a mindset thing. And I had made it maybe 2 weeks without taking it. But
And so now so April was your clean date, and now it's fast forward, it's 2019.
yeah,
So that's
6 years, 2 months, almost 3 months.
right on.
Yeah.
So we've got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
I've got a list on my phone here. Lawrence is watching, and he said he could see my phone. Here's my questions. So, question number 1. Tell us about the most memorable learning experiences from your days of drinking. So, for example, you mentioned riding around, picking up cigarette butts. I remember during the worst times of my addiction, I would ride my bike around, go find ashtrays, go pick up some pills or some heroin, ride my bike to Walmart, shoplift some air dusters or cough syrup or whatever. And I just remember that being the most pathetic life. And I was aware of that at the time, but I just didn't care. Is there anything like that? Or like what's
I worked for the most gentle man, and I gave him a hard time all the time. And I haven't talked to him in years. I need to call him. But his name was Scott, and he owned a car dealership, and I worked for him. And it was so sad because I go to work. He knew. I always think I'm hiding stuff, but he just loved me. He's a good guy. But I would stop at the store, grab 2 24-ounces before work, and that was all I was going to drink that day after I took my pain pills. By lunch, I'd be taking one of his demos and using his gas. I'd go in the same loop. I'd go from the car lot around this wooded area and pound 2 more 24s. By 4 or 5 o'clock, I'd do it again. By 9 o'clock, I'd go home and get me a 12-pack or 6-pack, drink that, and along with everything else, smoked a lot of marijuana. Like I had to wake up a few times a night and puff the bong just to just go back to sleep and wake up and do it all again. I think my mindset was always, I just need this today. Tomorrow I'm going to quit.
just something to make you feel better for a
Yeah,
minute.
just to get, I just didn't want to be sick. I was trying to be normal.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so when you were deciding to get sober, what were some of your biggest fears or excuses that prevented it?
Well, I can't do my job. I'll lose my job if I come out and say I'm an addict and I need to get help, or I'll lose my job. We won't be able to pay the house payment. I'll lose my kids. You tell yourself the worst of the worst just to give yourself an excuse.
Come up with a million reasons as to why
Million
you had
reasons.
to keep drinking or keep using.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you experience any anxiety or depression in your early days of sobriety?
I still do. Yeah. I first 2 months, I was literally crazy. I remember waking my parents up at like 3 in the morning because I'd get a text from my son's mom. She's coming to St. George to get him, and I'd wake them up and cause this big drama. She's going to get my son. She wasn't. I just was losing it.
And so this is after you decided to get sober, right?
Yeah.
And how did you push through that? Like those situations where heavy anxiety or times when you're feeling down in the dumps, what did you do to prevent yourself to go back to drinking or drugging?
It was always my son.
Okay.
He was my why.
Good.
He was always him.
I can relate to that because somebody early on in my first year of recovery, I was talking about how, I'm doing this for my son. My son, he's the reason, and this and that.
Yeah.
And that gave me a lot of motivation and all that. But somebody told me, they were like, you can't make it about your son. It's got to be for you.
Yeah.
Because then, recovery is not guaranteed. And so if I make my recovery about my son and then I fail at it, then by default, it's his fault. If he's the reason, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that was a big kind of shift for me. It's like I'm doing this for myself so that I can be the best dad for this kid.
That you
So,
couldn't have
change
said
a
that
little
any
bit.
better. He was my why, and I had to figure out how to love myself and do it for myself. And I did within a couple months. When I found out the meetings, I listened to people that would share. And you can quit for anybody, but until you do it for yourself, it's not going to work. And
I
so,
hear ya.
yeah.
So, looking back, what would you have done differently with everything that you know now
Yeah.
and everything that you struggled with in your early days of recovery? Is there anything you would do different?
From the day I got clean?
So, like, just thinking about your early days of recovery. So,
Yeah.
for the listeners
Right.
who might not have a whole lot of clean time, that might have, the life anxiety and depression going
Yeah.
on, with all your wisdom, with over 6 years of recovery,
Yeah.
what would you say to yourself during that time, or what would you say to somebody who's
I wouldn't have
during
done
that
anything
point?
different because I did all the right things. I didn't know no one here, so it was easier. It's hard to do when you're from the place because you're friends. I had to put myself in the right places at all times, away from wrong people, certain people, and I had to make myself accountable. I gave my parents all my money, and I didn't have much, but I didn't want to buy alcohol. I was like,
Right.
they made sure I had my cigarettes, but I didn't want a dime.
Yeah. So you mentioned doing all the right things. Give
Yeah.
us your top 3 right things to do
Okay.
in early recovery.
Top 3 right things would be to get to meetings. Find your meeting. There's different ones. There's different programs. Find the one that you fit in best. Birds of a feather flock together. Get around the 5 most positive people. Spend all your time with them. All the time that they'll allow you to. Don't be around negativity. And one more thing, that no matter what, there's no excuses. There was many times I would go drop my son off at a friend's house that helped me raise him for those 2 years, Kelsey and Mike. And I would go home and I would bawl, scream, yell at God. I can't do this. But I get through it.
Yeah. At what point did you feel like you were comfortable enough to start giving back?
Early, I wanted to help everyone. After 3 months, I thought I was a freaking rock star.
Right.
After 6
3
months,
months is a big deal.
1 month's a big deal.
Yeah.
But after 6 months, I'm the type of person that know it all at that point until I found it was a character defect. But after 6 months, I felt like I could give back, but I was told not to.
Yeah.
After 9 months, I was mad because there was a program I was in and they made you wait a year. And I was kind of upset. Why? I'm ready. I'm ahead of these people that are a year.
Yeah.
Best
Makes
thing I
sense.
did was waited a year.
Good. So we just hit the 2-minute mark.
Dang.
And this, I know it goes
Now I know
quick,
why
huh?
everyone says it goes
So
by
let's see.
fast.
So in this last little minute,
Yeah.
give us a piece of your soul. What do you want the ultimate message to be?
I won't cry again probably.
That's right.
My ultimate message always is hope. You're worth it. Don't give up. Even if you get a year clean and go back, don't let shame and guilt keep you away. You learned a lot. Now learn from that experience. Get back to the rooms. You're worth it. Nothing can get better by using, no matter if it gets you out of that moment. I always think I want to tell people, from my experience, when I was going through my hardest times in recovery, it was because there was something huge for my benefit if I pushed through that. And it wasn't instant. Sometimes it was. Sometimes I went through a hard trial and then all of a sudden, bam, something great. And that's why I had to go through that experience. But
Don't give up before the miracles happen.
yeah, exactly. And keep doing that. It's going to be hard. Life's hard.
Yeah.
Shoot, I suck at life. Still. Ask my wife.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, man.
I'm going to say You don't suck at life. I look up to you a lot.
Ah.
I'm glad that you're in my life.
Love you, brother.
Thank you, Heston, for coming on, sitting in
Thank
the
you
hot
so
seat.
much.
Thank you for letting me be here.
Dang, we'll have to do
Thanks
this
to your
again.
wife for helping with the buns. Yeah, absolutely. So
Right on.
Again, appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to 100.3 FM.
Yeah, and I want to thank Sean Danovan too.